Welcome to Diversity Conversations, where we engage in thought-provoking dialogue to identify leadership solutions to today's most challenging conflicts. Streamed live each week, Saturday 9:30 a.m. to 11 a.m. Hosted by Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Strategist and CEOs Eric Ellis and Tommy Lewis. Join us and add your voice to this engaging diversity conversation.
Good morning, Greater Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, the United States, and the world. My name is Eric Ellis. I'm the president and CEO of Integrity Development Corporation, and I'm joined this morning by my good friend and brother,
Tommy Lewis, president and CEO of Make It Plain Consulting. Good morning, Eric.
Good morning, Tommy. How are you, man?
Oh, it's a wonderful day. It's a wonderful week. And it's a wonderful month, Eric. I'm so blessed to be with you today and our community.
Absolutely. And the last time I saw Tommy, he was on fire.
Yes.
I mean, he was on the golf course, man, looking like Jack Nicklaus and Tiger Woods tied together. He discovered something and he was just in the zone. I said, Tommy, bottle it right now. Let's go play a lottery number tonight.
Right.
And go talk to all our prospective clients.
Yeah.
Because you are on the road, bro. Everything you touch turns to gold.
Right.
Chip shots. I mean, he was opening up the blade like what? Shoot. Balls going to the heavens, landing softly. Everything we've ever dreamed about. Tommy Lewis was performing and he was skipping around. I mean, he looked like a little kid back when he was in middle school hitting home runs on them boys. That's what he was doing. He's out there hitting home runs. And he just running on down the thing. Like, and we was quitting. Both me and Ken was playing when we was both intermittently quitting. About the seventh hole, I just threw in the towel. The heat, the humidity had just took it all out of me. But man, we had a good time, didn't we?
We had a good time, Eric. It's a good time. It's something else when you're in that zone.
Yes.
Whatever that is, at work and play.
Yes.
When literally your mind, body, and soul connects with anything outside of you.
Right.
In this case, it was golf.
Right.
So my mind, my body, my soul, my spirit was connecting with the game of golf.
Right.
And we can find ourselves in that zone at work where, you know, how we're moving and navigating through the workplace, what we say and how we react and respond to people, we can be hitting it. Right on, as in golf, as they say, right on the screws, right? Hit it right on the screws. And it just felt good, Eric. I literally found myself just this past week in that round. I found a level of comfort that I had been aspiring to be in, a level of peace in the midst of a challenge.
Right.
Again, over the last few years, Eric, I've been struggling with that.
Right.
Been struggling with,
and that's part of what we're going to talk about today, because I was fortunate enough to be the observer and commentator of what I was seeing. I said, "Ooh." I mean, I started to study in Tommy. I said, "Oh, he done found something today." And we have both found golf swings. You know, golf swings come and go, but he had something more than a golf swing. There was a sense of joy and unflappability on him that allowed him to shut out whatever could be happening in the world. And I could see it, that there was nothing, you know, because sometimes you've been hot, I've been hot, and we don't mess this thing up.
Right.
So I can't even engage with y'all.
Yep.
No, that wasn't the case that day.
Yeah.
Tommy could do everything, nothing threw him off. It was the mind of a child. And that's where the Bible says, you know, that you have to almost become like a child.
Yeah.
That's a part of what we're going to have to rediscover as a society. And so as you look at your week, Tommy, are there any other highlights about your week?
Yeah, a couple of highlights, Eric. I always want to shout out our clients at Make It Plain, who value and trust what we do. I have a number of clients who re-up. Sometimes it's just for a session or two or three. But when they call, they just jump into their need, Eric. It's not an interview or nothing. They literally telling me Hey, Tommy, are you available on September 20th? For about 2 hours, we have 17 people, and fix it. That's what it is.
Right.
And they completely trust me. I have some questions, make sure we're on the right path. And that happened maybe 4 or 5 times this past week.
Wow.
Again, these are kind of with existing clients, partners, I would like to say partners, right?
Right.
And so that's it. The other is, Eric, I had a bit of a come to Jesus conversation. Well, I'm sorry. A come to Jesus conversation was had with me by a teammate of mine. And I received publicly, I'm going to share that I received that feedback.
Okay.
I am not going to out the person by no means.
Yeah.
But the feedback that was given to me basically said, Eric, that over the last several years, I have promised certain things that I did not commit to or do. I did. And when I reflected on it, immediately during the feedback, Eric, I reflected on what they were saying. I said, dang it, I know you're right about it. I know. I didn't even go into excuses.
Right.
I promised that I would do that for you. And some of it is professional development, all the good stuff. But I didn't. And I committed that time. I was like, okay, I'm going to invest some dollars, invest some time, invest some stretch opportunities. Because that's one of the things I promised. I promised expansion in the business. And I didn't. So I want to say thank you to my teammate who I would imagine was thinking about this, giving feedback to me for some time. But trust me, give it to me. I did get comfortable, as it was told to me. I did get comfortable. And that experience made my week, even beyond the partners coming back. It was the feedback that I need to get better for other people in the company to get better. And we had an adult conversation. And I pondered over it for a couple of days. And then the person came back to me and said, stop all that whining about it. I just told you about it. Let's move on. I was like, well, they had their big pants on.
Right.
So I want to say thank you. And that made my week.
So let's slow down the film so that we can sort of just take this apart a little bit. This is authentic Tommy Lewis. This is Tommy. This is your gift. It's being able to admit to shortcomings and missteps. You do that better than anybody that I know. And I would say that Tommy and I have been doing this work for decades, and it's very rare. Let's start with the team member first. Number one, it's rare for a team member to feel enough psychological safety and courage to ever bring that to a boss. Most of them work in organizations where the boss is right, and whoever works for them is not. And so it's difficult for people to get up the courage or to even think that it makes even good sense, to share that kind of feedback. And then for you to literally appreciate that, to be wrestling with it to the point where the team member also came in, hey. Right. I said it. It's over. Damn it. Wake up. You got some more work that I put on your table. Like she's the boss. That's how our team is. That's how our staff is. We make the staff the bosses because they know you got to keep us working, hustling and stuff. I cannot afford you being there lamenting this. I said it, darn it. Do something about it. Let's get back to work. I love that. Thank you, Tommy, for sharing. And thank you, staff.
Yes.
We need that. We need the staff to clear the throat and say there's something I need to share with you because that's the way that we get better. So Tommy and I love our staff. We'd love to tell you about the good days and the good news. We see ourselves as leaders that are trying to aspire to be real quality leaders. But that does not come without missteps and problems and shortcomings and things that we need to work through. And I appreciate you sharing that. Tommy, this week for me was a great week as well. Our follow-up, with prospective clients is really working. For decades, Tommy and I, we talk about business growth, and this is the year that we really gonna knock it out the park. But we really, honestly, we are more mentally interested in growing than we are physically committing to growing. We actually love, the thing we love the most is doing the work.
Yeah.
That's what we love. We get wrapped up in the work, and we love that. And the good news is that when you do good work, there's going to be an intersection, almost a tipping point between you doing good work and the world learning about that. But in our business, I find that people that you're doing great work with aren't always that quick to share that because they don't want everybody to start getting your time.
Yeah.
They're like, oh, no, I'm not telling everybody about you.
You're right, Eric.
Yeah, they're not trying to pass that on because there's less availability. But we are now really working on that. And I can tell you, Tommy, that I am so delighted about the space that we're in right now, where we know that we are meeting needs for many of the clients that we are serving. And I had a client say to me, Eric, he said, look, while all these companies, Ford, Lowe's, all of them are running away from DEI, he said, our CEO is running into the wind and saying, I'm tripling down on this. And he's willing to go to battle with anybody over the value that's being delivered by the work that we are doing collectively together. And I would say to you, it's not just the magic of us, it's the magic of us, us and them. When you put us together, and it's the beauty, Tommy, of not pulling everything off the shelf. You've been around the block a few times. You are now prepared to say, let me listen. Let's customize solutions in the same way that you said you got feedback from your staff. I looked over some evaluations that we got back from the client in June. Mediocre. I don't like mediocre evaluations. Tommy, do you?
Indeed.
We don't like them, do we?
Not at all.
But every once in a while, you get mediocre evaluations. Now, there were things going on in the life of the company that were affecting people's view of us. Don't accept that as an excuse.
Right. Yeah.
What I saw in the feedback was too many acronyms. We need more practical connection to the work. Okay. And we made adjustments, Tommy, in the training design, the training that we did this last week on empathy. It just really was a home run, and you could see it in the midst of the training because we made adjustments. And one of the things that we did is we stopped trying to teach managers strictly skills to be better managers of their people, and we started demonstrating empathy directly to those managers. And when we did that, Tommy, I'm going to tell you, so it has led to the conversation that Tommy and I are going to have today. And I'll share with you that what I wanted to share with you all today, a critical conversation about mental health and well-being, because so much is going on in the world around us, in the companies that we work in, but in every person's life. Every one of you that have joined us today, I promise you that you are in a world where every single day you are dealing with mental health challenges, stress, anxiety that are affecting you. And so we've got 7 things that people often don't talk about, which can negatively impact our daily mental health, stress, and anxiety. And so I was supposed to go to this company, Tommy, this last week on a Tuesday, and I had heard some tragic information about the company. One of the senior executives had just fallen down and had to be taken to the hospital and had a heart issue. Some other clients that I was talking to, their employees were saying, we are so stressed out because DEI has been now made illegal. And there's $1 million fine that I might have to be subjected to if I do something in the wrong way. And Tommy, I was feeling so overwhelmed by those 2 realities that I could not go to the client on Tuesday. I said, Wendell, I'll send you. Wendell handled it. Yeah. And I said, let me spend another day preparing this training. But for me, the training became that much more important. Yeah. Because I saw that the whole world needs us to really, they say that empathy is the #1 leadership trait that exists. And so, and we're running into Labor Day weekend. So this is what we're talking about, is a lot of the workplace. And so let me share this, Tommy, and then I'll let you sort of take us into the first thing that people don't talk about that can impact our mental health. I was doing some research. Qualtrics does a global study on how employees are being impacted. And so what I did was I took this research from Qualtrics and I made it personal for the company. I said, think about this if these were your employees. And so Qualtrics discovered that, I asked people, what percentage of your employees experience a decline in mental health? Qualtrics says 42% of employees globally are experiencing that. What percentage are experiencing increased stress around the globe? Employees, 67% of employees around the globe are experiencing increased stress. What percentage of your workforce has experienced increased anxiety? 57%. What percent are emotionally exhausted? 54%. What percentage of employees experience empathy from their leaders? What percentage will be engaged? In other words, if you deliver empathy to your employees, what percentage will it become more engaged? 73%. And so when I was asking these managers and supervisors some empathy questions, so the first exercise was an icebreaker where I said, let's form a circle. Step in this circle if you've experienced this. What percentage of you are feeling overwhelmed at work? And this shocked me. It was the first question, Tommy, and everybody stepped in the circle. Not 3 out of 20. Not 8.
Not 10.
Not 10. Not 15. Everybody. And then they just started sharing stories. What percentage of you all, if you have had this experience this week, step in the circle, couldn't sleep at night because you were thinking about all the obligations that you have at work and personal things, personal challenges, and it's impacting your focus and the quality of your work, step in the circle, everybody. One guy said, I was so exhausted last night, and he said, I couldn't shut my brain down. He said, I'm ADD, he said, and my brain just kept going. He said, I'm down 2 staff people. And so I'm behind, but I feel responsible for that. He said, and so since I couldn't sleep, I just came to work at 1:30 in the morning. Wow. And so, Tommy, people started crying, and they were grateful for an opportunity to be heard. And these are people, I would say to you all that managers and supervisors in every organization that I work in, they're the most loyal, and they believe that their job is to toe the company line. It's not about me. It's not about how I feel. It's a can-do spirit.
Right.
So no matter what's on my plate, my answer is I can do it. And that's all I tell my people. I don't want to hear all the grief. We got a job to do, darn it.
Ooh.
I don't care if we can or can't do it. We don't accept no for an answer. Yep. That's the world that we're living in right now, Tommy. And unfortunately, we're asking people to do more work than they actually can.
Indeed.
How many of you, last question, how many of you are working overtime on a regular basis? Step in the circle. Everybody. Now, here's the issue. Every employee in any company could do overtime with you if that was a periodic thing. Yeah. But when it turns into an everyday thing, then people are overwhelmed and they're stressed out. And so Tommy and I want to explore our own, because we want to pose some questions and say to you that there are these areas that we're not having enough conversation about that are impacting our mental health, our stress, our anxiety, our well-being.
Eric, so we're talking about a number of things, and one of which is the digital overload. There are some neuroscientists out there in the world that's done a lot of research, gathered a lot of data, and to narrow the data down to one particular kind of mindset or phenomenon is that the digital overload is really creating in all of us Pavlov's dog. So for those who are not as familiar with the Pavlov's dog phenomenon, there's a scientist, Dr. Pavlov, who did an experiment on a dog, rang a bell, the dog started to salivate because there was a treat or food prepared. The experiment happened time and time again where the bell was rung and the dog anticipated food. So therefore it salivated. And so after a while, a short period of time, the bell was rung and the dog would immediately salivate and prepare to eat, but there's no food. With our digital overload, we are human Pavlov's dogs, that we are, our mind, this is plural, our minds are now anticipating and accustomed to reacting to social media, to pings and dings from our cell phones. We can actually, our mind is playing tricks on us so much that we might think we heard our cell phone ring or vibrate and go to our purse, our pocketbook, our pocket, and look at our phone like, I felt it ringing. It did not ring. Right. We are Pavlov's dog. We are overloaded with this digital information. We're receiving information by way of social media, by way of, again, digital notifications, as well as just screen time. For crying out loud, Eric, we're conducting our weekly podcast over a screen.
That's right.
Speaking to millions of people.
And you're right here with us.
Right here.
And we're glad you are.
We're glad you're right here. But after the conversation,
get off the screen.
Get off the screen. Right. After. Stay with us right now.
That's right. That's right. Right.
Don't leave right now. But we have to temper it. We have to temper it. And it's showing up. I think, Eric, that there's some invisible or hidden what am
impacts.
Impact.
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. It's like unconscious bias.
Yeah.
And so as I read, because Tommy and I do some research and preparing for you all, the brain can be overwhelmed, leading to mental fatigue. In other words, when now I'm going to make a honest confession that I am in this space. I'm in this number around digital, social media, checking in on that, responding to people there. The good news is that most of my social media is very positive. So I'm getting a lot of positives back from that. But my listening to CNN and Fox and MSNBC is not positive. It's almost all negative. It says you're leading to mental fatigue, stress, anxiety, the pressure to stay connected. I'm now needing to catch up, stay up. I'm listening to the presidential thing. What's the score? What's the score right now? Who's up? What did Trump say? What did Harris say? I'm there all the time. And I'll tell you, not only am I there because I feel like I've got to stay updated. I feel the impact of it. Literally, I can literally feel stress coming in to my body and causes feelings of inadequacy or feelings of missing out. And so what I want to say to you all now, here is my remedy. I don't use it enough, Tommy. When I turn to jazz music, I literally turn to watercolors. And every time I turn my stereo to watercolors, I feel life, like a cool spring coming into my body, into my mind. And I'm literally, when I hear those saxophones playing and those flutes, everything in me says, this is what your body needs. And Tommy, I'm saying to you all, we are at an epidemic right now, and we cannot continue living life as though we will be here forever. My friend who fell out in court, super person, smiling all the time, overwhelmed by all of the things that are weighing in on him. And eventually your body just says, I don't know about you, but I can't keep doing it.
Neuroscientists say as well, Eric, one particular neuroscience says that in the morning, we should do 3 things. And this is to disrupt the digital overload. This is to disrupt the consistent and constant pressures and stressors that create anxiety and or stress. The first thing we should do is when we wake up in the morning is to stretch. In one way, shape, or form. That might be a simple stretch, such as trying to touch your toes as you're leaving the bed. It can be a stretch when you stand up to yawn and literally stretch out, right?
Mm-hmm.
It can be any simple stretch. First thing to do, stretch.
Okay.
The second thing to do is to not touch your device for 10 minutes. As soon as we wake up, do not touch your device, cell phone, tablet, computer, for 10 minutes. He actually says 30 minutes.
Mm.
I'm giving a little grace here.
Right.
Right? Says 10 minutes, don't touch it. Because again, that creates the instantaneous mindset of reaction for the rest of the day. If we wake up and we touch our device and we're just reacting, we are in reaction mode.
Mm-hmm.
The third thing he recommends is you have to do this delicately. When you're brushing your teeth, use the opposite hand.
Oh,
Yep.
that's nice.
Use the opposite hand. So using the opposite hand will trigger different neurology on the other side of your brain. It is uncomfortable. Again, be careful, right? You don't want to keep jabbing your jaws and your gums and your teeth. But to do that, right? I'm going to throw one more in too, Eric, and you just mentioned this. Like you listen, and I listen to Watercolors, which is a station that we can, stream some music. In the morning these days, for the last several months, I go to YouTube and I type in morning music.
Mm-hmm.
There's morning coffee, there's
Mm-hmm.
bossa nova, there's different Italian music. It's instrumentals that they're typically streamed live, and they are about 3 to 4 hours long.
Mm-hmm.
It takes me about 30 to 45 minutes to get ready, and I'm out the door. So it's well within the 3 to 4 hours. It's very soothing to me. It's very relaxing. Sometimes when I'm rushing, oftentimes, when I'm rushing in the morning, this background rhythm of bossa nova, right, of coffee, cafe music,
Right.
It relaxes me. It's going to be okay, right? I know I'm running around trying to get my laptop, trying to get my thoughts together because I have a presentation in an hour or two. But relax, stay in rhythm. I've done it so often that my wife is expecting the soft music to be playing on my phone right there in the bathroom as we're brushing our teeth, right? And we volley some conversation to one another, but it allows us to kind of de-emphasize the digital overload, the stress, and begin each day with a more peaceful, productive, and maybe even positive outlook on the day.
So, Tommy, why don't you find one of those on your phone right now and just play it down below us? Yeah. Because we're going to shift our atmosphere right now in this moment. And we're going to have some of this beautiful music, and it's going to give us a boost as we're talking about this. Thank you, Anita. I appreciate you said, I find that I can become robotic in my motions when overwhelmed. Learning to manage can be challenging. Exactly. I've got 4 adult children. And 3 of them live with us. And I study my kids, and I watch them all the time, and I can literally feel the mood that they're in. Yeah. And I feel when life has gotten pressure, is really mounted up and pressured them. And I'll see my son, my youngest son, sometimes he'll just be in the family room. He'll be in there just listening to beautiful music and just there on the couch. And I know that he's recharging. I came here last night and he was in the studio and he was just in there with this beautiful music. And I was listening to some of the music time that he was playing. And I was thinking, wow, they're having such a genuine conversation in that music that we're not having in the world. Yeah. And we need to find time to do that. Let me move to the second one, Tommy. And it says that one of the things that we need more of is sleep. A lack of sleep, poor sleep quality, insufficient sleep is a significant but often overlooked contributor to mental health issues. You are not cheating life. There's no way to just sort of think that I don't need all the sleep. I can get my work done late at night. I can catch up with my family late at night on social media and things like that. and not get the sleep. My wife, Judy, myself, and Jillian, we had a exercise thing going for almost a year, where we would get up every morning at 6:30, man. We do our workout. And Judy went to her doctor, and the doctor said, you got to kill that because you're not getting enough sleep. You're working across 2 time zones, and now you're trying to get up and work out?
Wow.
She said, no. There's something more important than working out. It's sleep.
Yeah.
And so I can tell you that since my knee surgery, I don't rest well at night. So I've been up, tossing and turning a little bit at night. But here's the funny thing. That was last thing I'll say about this sleep, and then Tommy, please weigh in, and then take us to the third one. But it's funny that now that I'm older, I will literally show up back at home in the middle of the day and jump into bed. And you say, what? What are you doing? Or I'll come home early. I mean, this never has happened. I'm like a nomad, you know. And her friends told her, nope, don't worry. There'll come a day where he will find himself attached to the house. That day has arrived. And she looks at me like, get out of here. I had all the freedom to watch all the shows I wanted to watch, you know, or whatever. Man, my body says, bruh, go get in that bed. And I was right in the bed. Don't go to sleep. You ain't gonna be asleep in the evening. I'm gonna get to sleep wherever I can get it. But Tommy, my body is commanding me to go get rest sometimes. And in my office, I've got a room that I've got a bed in there. It was a COVID bed, but now, man, I'll just go down there during the day if I need to and just hit a nap. The same nap that I got in kindergarten and hated.
Yeah.
I am desperately thankful for now.
Eric, this past week and weeks past, I'm so tired that I may not even make it to the bed or the cot. I've been at the office walking by my administrator, Nicole, and I say, hey, I'm going to take a nap. And I'm falling toward the ground. I'm doing this old dance used to be called the centipede, right? The worm, where you arch your body and you fall to the floor and then you kick your feet up and you do like this. I am falling to the floor as I'm trying to get to my desk and my chair, and I find myself on my little pallet on the floor of my office. And then 20 minutes later, I wake up and I feel refreshed. But I am finding that I need naps just like you, right? It's not that I'm hangry, right?
Right.
It's I'm tired. And
right.
Folks like, do you need a nap? I do.
Right.
At the same time, Eric, I am finding myself waking up at 2 o'clock in the morning, 2:30, 3 o'clock. There's the ABC roundup news.
Yeah.
I'm watching that.
We're information idiots.
Yeah.
We're gonna get as much information as we can.
A lot of stuff. And then, okay, let me, it's 5 o'clock.
Right.
Let me see if I can get a quick, strong hour's rest.
Right.
Wake up and go. And when I tally the numbers up, it's about strong 4.5 hours a day.
Right.
It's not enough.
Right.
Sleep deprived.
And what we're saying to you this morning, stop the madness. Your life depends on it. Stress is an epidemic. Mental health challenges are at an epidemic right now. The Surgeon General just came out with an emergency warning that parents are overwhelmed right now. And so I'm talking to my clients. I'm bringing that right into the diversity fold, where we have to look out for the parents and all the stress that they're under with their kids' screen time and their kids trying to keep up with the Joneses, and all those things are just literally overwhelming. And we're acting as though we don't have a choice. I can tell you that companies from the very top to the person that just started are going through huge levels of stress and anxiety. And Tommy Lewis and I wanted to take this time today at Diversity Conversations to say to you that this is a critical conversation that we have to have with ourselves, that you cannot make it if you just keep going through life as though this was 10, 15, 20 years ago, or back when everybody worked on a farm and lived on a farm and life was peaceful and easy and all you did was work. It's a new day and we're being overrun, manipulated.
Yes.
All those tactics that people are utilizing to keep us engaged are working, and they're winning and we're losing, and we cannot afford to lose. We want your life to be as full as it can be.
We can't afford to turn into zombies, right? That's some of the efforts of others to turn us into brainless, mindless, thinkless zombies.
Right.
And we cannot afford that for our own health.
Right.
Speaking of health, number 3, as we look at the research, Eric, unhealthy boundaries. Many people struggle to set healthy boundaries in their personal and professional lives. This can lead to feelings of being overwhelmed, burnt out, and resentment in many cases, which in turn contribute to stress and anxiety. I've recently did a training in this around boundaries. And 2 things evolved out of this particular training. And this was this week, actually, it was yesterday. And so there were a number of people that were saying that the line or the boundary between professional and personal had begun to merge. In other words, their professional relationships that they had with people at work were starting to merge or blend into the personal side, whereby the professional relationship would be asking, would have requests of them that were something that they would do personally.
Yeah.
Like give up a lot of their personal time.
Yeah.
I know you can come in this work, Labor Day, you don't work on Monday, but you can work tomorrow, Saturday, right? So if you don't mind coming in for, just 2 or 3 hours,
right,
no more than 4 or 5, we may get to 7 or 8, but if you could just come in. What?
Right.
You went, am I doing a full day's work tomorrow?
Right.
What's going on?
Nowhere.
And so the person says, Eric, sure. I'll come in tomorrow on Saturday. I had plans for a long weekend because it's Labor Day weekend, but I know this is important. The thought of letting down a coworker whereby the professional and personal boundary is blurred has now impacted us, Eric, in stress, anxiety, almost unnecessary expectations. Unnecessary. So I expect myself to honor all of your requests. That's unnecessary. That's unrealistic for me to honor all of your requests.
Right.
Maybe a few, maybe some, maybe most. But now, if Eric asked me, my boss, not my friend, my boss asked me to do anything that bleeds into my personal time, I have to say yes. And so now I layer another brick on the pillar of stress. Another brick on the pillar of stress. In time, that pillar will topple.
Jenga
it is. Pull it. No, don't pull it. Don't. All crumbles down. And that's what we're trying to avoid with ourselves, Eric, and with other people, that we can really pay attention to when certain pieces of our pillar of stress is being pulled out. And can we say, pause, hold on for a second. I need a reprieve, I need a break, or I cannot do. I know earlier had the I can do, will do, can't do.
Tommy, there have been times in our lives, in our family's lives, where people have been invited over the house that had a relationship with somebody in the family, but they weren't really healthy across the board. For me, Tommy, I would literally, I just go up to my room.
Yeah,
that was my boundary. That I wasn't going to come into this situation that wasn't going to be pleasant. The conversation was going to be sarcastic or talking about somebody else. And I know I didn't really want to be a part of that. So I just tiptoe. Hey, good to see you. tiptoe right on up my steps
Yeah.
in order to preserve my peace. And I would say to you all that this notion of establishing boundaries, we're talking to a friend of ours that was just talking about some people that had said some crazy things to him that we went to high school with, years, decades ago.
Right.
And I just said, I mean, there's a part of me that would say, I'm not even going to be in the same world that you're in. If you are that kind of unhealthy, you're still fighting old battles. But it's now we can all talk about the boundaries that we can set. It's more difficult to talk about those that are difficult for us to set. Let's see, Tommy, if our community has said a couple of things, let's go ahead and take a look at what they've said.
Again, Brooks says, great topic. Again, it's needed. And it's not a short-term trend, right? Managing stress, dealing with mental health and well-being is not short-lived. Anita says, again, I'll bring her back up. We must learn to be still. Learn to be still. And that's being still in the moment of motion.
Right.
Right.
So say that again, Tommy.
Yeah, sometimes our body,
right,
it could be moving and our mind could be moving, but can we be still in the moment of motion? Right? Being in a meeting, a lot of things happening around us. There's little mini tornadoes, little explosions, always happening. These fires over here that we need to put out, and I'm calm.
Right.
I'm just looking.
Right.
Hey, look at that
explosion
explosion over there.
Equilibrium.
Stay in balance.
Yeah.
Right. 10 minutes can do wonders.
Right.
Just 10 minutes. Listen to music. Take a walk. How about breathe easy and refresh and re-energize? Eric, we do not always have to be on 10.
That's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
We have to be able to feel ourselves approaching 5 and 6. I'm halfway there. Right now I'm in 7. I feel it on my hair standing up. For whatever reason, my heart is beating a little bit more rapidly. I can't seem to gather my thoughts, right? And then I'm down.
Right.
So this reminds me very quickly, Eric, when I suffered my heart attack in Nashville back then. I remember preparing for my lesson plan when I was teaching at Fisk University and my roommate, James Washington. And I remember reading the same paragraph in my preparation over and over again. And I thought then, like, what's happening? I mean, I literally cannot get off of this paragraph. I read it and my mind said, you didn't understand it. I read it again. My mind said, you still didn't understand it. I couldn't move on. So I started to get a little bit anxious. My mind would not pivot. My body was feeling a little certain way. James came in. Long story short, I was approaching 7, 8, 9. My mind said, work through it. My body said, I'm shutting down. Your body will tell you about your stress before your mind will. And so it is imperative to be able to pause, get away from the environment that is informing your mind. Right. So if you're at work, the environment itself will say, work, do it, stay productive, etc. And your body is saying, you're tired, you're fatigued. I'm going to stop. For our friend who was at work in the instance, his body said, enough.
I'm done.
I'm done.
Right. And what I want to say to you is that if you ignore the mental health challenges that you have, the stress and anxiety that you're under, you will check out of here. And the people that you despise, some of them are going to show up at your funeral exchanging business cards.
Yes, sir.
The world will go on with or without you. As we look at boundaries, let's look at what we just did this week. Tommy, myself, Ken Wilson, we went out golfing. So first of all, first boundary was I text people, you available to golf? So now they can choose yes or no. Yeah, I am available. Okay. So we all decided to go to the golf course. Now, in golf, you're supposed to basically get only the cards that you need for the people. So you get one card if you have one person or two. Those two people are in it. If you have 3, then you get 2 cards because that other person if you have 4, then you get 2 cards. But we were 3 individuals with individual cards. We literally looked around and said, our boundary today is we want our own card. So we all put up with 3 individual cards, almost like bumper cards. And we played however we wanted to play. So we started off like a regular round of golf, but quickly Ken decided that he really was probably out there to fellowship with us, connect with us, and hit balls every once in a while and do whatever work he needed to do. We look back, we're about to question it. Then we said, nope, he's made his call. It's cool. He has the freedom, listen to this, the freedom to make that choice. And we have the freedom to keep on going. We don't let his choice mess up our choices. And so we literally just had a ball, each establishing their own boundaries around what conversation they wanted to raise, what conversation they wanted to participate in. And so I'm saying to you that that's what you have to do, is really look at what does it mean for you to set the right boundaries and to make sure that you're not investing too much time with people that aren't adding life to you. When Tommy and I get together, it's a life adding. I mean, we add life to each other. I mean, he is my brother. He's closer to me than some of my family. And so I'm grateful for that. Let me take you to the next one. Number 4, sort of thing that impacts our mental health, stress, and anxiety, are financial stress. It's a major source of anxiety for many, but it is often not openly discussed due to feelings of shame or embarrassment. Concerns about debts, bills, savings, job security can weigh heavily on people's mental health. And I would suggest to you that it does not matter what level of income you make. It doesn't matter, because there ain't enough. I mean, the type of problems that we may talk about, people would just look at us like, what?
Right.
Take the mic from them. They got the easy life. But people don't know what it means to be the person that a check is not being cut for you.
Right.
You got to go hunt, kill something in order to make checks and cut them for other people. And in our world, it's always like that. Higher, 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 but it's always like that. And so even when you have a bank full of money, you are still wondering when the rug could be pulled out from under. And here's what I would say to you, that you cannot allow those things to impact you. I've got my finance manager. She taught Jillian, my daughter, one of the most powerful lessons that I've ever seen taught. She said, Jillian, money's not emotional. It's either here or it's not. So don't sweat it either way. You can only deal with what you have. And that was one of the most powerful lessons. So anytime we talk about money, she was telling me about some things, asking me some things that were, should we do to increase staff pay and time? And I said, you know not to ask me. It's your area. You call it. You the boss. You tell me what we gonna do. And I love saying that. And the reason I can say that is because I trust her with my life. I trust her with our finances. She's going to be far more responsible than even I. And so I've given her the full authority to speak over that area. But I would say to you, the last close on it is that at the end of the day, do not allow financial pressures to overtake you. The biggest thing that I have is my faith that everything is going to be all right. And then, sorry, Tommy.
No, good.
And then I got relationships that if it ever gets tight for me, no, I got some aces, man, that I can call and say, Tommy, I need you, baby.
Yeah. Eric, I know I do in you. I've leveraged that a couple of times, and I am deeply and sincerely appreciative of that.
Family.
And I'm driven to ensure that I hold up my end of the bargain as well. Right?
Honor.
That's
Straight
it.
up honor.
Straight up honor.
My word is my bond. You count that.
Yep.
When I say it, you count it.
And take it to the bank.
That's how we do this.
It's bigger and greater than currency. It is the
Absolutely, man.
currency.
Absolutely. Never seen anything like that.
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that.
Seen anything like that.
Uh-uh.
Right. So I found myself, even this past week, Eric, worries. I'm going to take a different spin. This past week, one of my staff members, for the first time in our professional relationship, she had said and did something, again, that was new.
Mm-hmm.
And she preferenced this with, I'm not trying to spend your money. Right. And I received it as whatever. You know what I'm saying? No one can actually spend my money.
Right.
But I understood what she was saying.
Yeah, that ain't about to happen. Right.
And she said, we need to have a team building event and you should not facilitate it. She was speaking to me. So I think I would recommend that you invest in someone to come in and do it. Right. She knows that our business finances are very lean. Our margin right now is lean. We're expecting some windfalls in the next couple of months, but until those invoices are paid per these great relationships that we have, which we haven't been paid for those yet.
Right.
They're starting to come in.
Boy, y'all don't know nothing about that. Jeez.
Coming in. I said, okay. And what I heard, Eric, was say if it's a few $1,000s, right? Of revenue, money that I would have to invest by way of the company, the mental wellness, the communication, the trust currency that's developed in our time together as a team will be invaluable and exceed the financial commitment to this. In other words, the worry of having to repair a relationship with a client because of one of my team members misstepping or myself is much more important than the $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000 spent today. And so that worry, or the knowing and the faith of something greater in the future supersedes the moment. I don't have the money right now to pay the light bill. That's a true fact, if that's the fact.
Right.
The reality is that if you possibly leverage your relationships, not all in one basket, but a gentle ask here.
That's right.
A slight ask here, right? You may receive the exact amount or more because you haven't asked said person in 20 years and they've always said to you, hey, let me know if you need any help.
Right.
Hey, let me know.
You got to
if you
cash
need
some
any
of
help.
them chips if they real chips.
Every now and again, hey, let me know. Every now and again, we have to say, I need your help.
Right.
I've been waiting.
Right.
That's
it.
For real. And not to give you the $25 that you need to pay the bill. Right. But I've been wanting to share my appreciation to you. Here's $500. You don't have to repay it. Right. Because you don't remember what you did for me 20 years ago. That's why I've been asking, if you need anything, let me know. So karma, faith, positive reciprocity is real. Therefore, you do not have to worry. Easier said than done.
Right.
Fear. 95% of the things we fear never happen. So we think that positive mental health is acknowledging that there is a way out of anything.
That's right. Challenges come, they happen all the time, but faith can sustain you, and the honorable currency that you have deposited into the bank of life will then pay dividends when you are in need.
That's good work.
And I would say that one of the things that I saw, I remember, 20 years ago, business was struggling. I was going through challenges. And the guy came up to me and said something crazy. I've said this before. Eric, why ain't you putting me on, man? You guys that are successful, y'all ain't looking out for the rest of us. And I was like, what? I mean, I just went off and said, man, you don't know what I'm going through. And right at that time, I was going through, my house was in foreclosure. And literally, I was struggling from day to day. And I went to God and I was really almost yelling at God. Like, God, why would this idiot say this to me? And God said, well, don't despise people seeing you the way that I made you. In other words, I made you wealthy. And that is not dependent on your current circumstances. Those are the lessons that God be dropping. And then God also showed me that we must have experiences in our life that we are in need. Tommy and I are used to the most common experience that we have is bailing other people out.
Yep.
Giving to, we're the giver, we're the helper. That's our most common experience. But I promise you that without experiencing need, then you might find yourself in pride, because being the giver is easy. Being in need is hard. Asking for help is hard.
Come on, Eric.
You've got to do that because it builds character in you. I'm not talking about the people that have found it easy to go asking everybody for something. I'm talking to you, those of you out there that it's hard, because God has gifted you with talent, skills, abilities. You've never been out of a job. And so you're the giver. And so if you find yourself in a place of need, then I'm telling you, it's a character building place. And we all must be there, Tommy.
Yes.
And what I would say is that Tommy, the way Tommy lives his life, sets him up to be good ground to be invested in. There's nothing Tommy Lewis can ask me for that I have that he don't have.
Yes, sir.
Period.
Yes, sir. God is good, Eric.
God is good to us, man. God is good
good.
to us. And so really, those worries, that's what we're getting back to, is do not allow yourself to be caught up in worry and fear, because tomorrow will take care of itself. And what I would offer you here in place of fear is gratitude. Is really take time every day to think about 3 or 4 things that you are grateful for, because gratitude, it transforms our entire attitude. And right now, since Tommy and I know that this mental health, anxiety, stress is at an epidemic, and that people are not easily opening up to that. They literally are just doing a Facebook world where they're saying all is great. Hey, family, everybody's great. Things fine. Awesome. Wonderful. Couldn't be any better. That's the world that we live in.
Yeah.
But that's not the world that really exists.
Eric, as we're drawn to a close, another brief moment in our lives to have these conversations that go by so fast, but are so rich. Last week, as you mentioned, I was on vacation, and I needed a vacation. I needed to be able to rest my mind, rest my spirit. I did struggle a bit over vacation to do that.
Yep.
Where I was disconnected from the office at times intentionally, but my mind was always on trying to help. What other solutions might I offer up to our partner? What else can I do? In turn, having some close relatives and friends with me on vacation. One of which is my friend and my sister, Anita. And one morning, as my wife and I were going to see the sun rise, my sister was already at the beach watching the sunrise, or preparing to see the sunrise. She was in her place of peace. And when I saw her, we were walking up to her from behind, and she was facing the beach. She turned, and I was overwhelmed with joy. I was overwhelmed, Eric, that I was able to afford my sister a vacation, and she can join me in that. And
That's a
so,
blessing,
and there was a number of things. I was just
blessing.
so overwhelmed. Like,
That's a blessing.
you know, I'm out here doing it. That's
Right.
my
That's
business.
right.
I'm doing it.
Right.
Me?
Right.
And if our mother and father was still with
That's
us,
right.
I would love to have enjoyed doing
That's
that for
right.
them.
That's exactly right.
Right. So I think it's the small things, Eric, that I would like to continue to do, such as golfing with you.
Yeah.
My wife and my friends know that I love golfing with you. You know, my wife kids me a lot. She jokes about, why don't you go with your friend, your brother?
Right.
And I'm like, I will.
Right. That's right, girl. Right.
And she knows how valuable it is.
Right.
As I know how valuable my sister is to me.
Mm.
And so she, like the people in our confidants, you, Eric, you are my peace. You are my confidant. You are my sounding board
That's
to
right.
sanity.
That's right. Ooh. Ooh.
So I thank you and I love you for it.
Right. And I love you too, Tommy. And God gives us what we need. And we are grateful to have this relationship. We have no idea fully why God caused us to come together 6 years ago. But we're certain of this one thing, that our conversations, our diversity conversations with each other and with you have made our lives better. And it gives us a moment. It gives us an experience that we never anticipated or thought we even needed. We are two individuals that just go get it in life. And I'll see you at the finish line. We could have never imagined that we would be able to do this. And the fact that we are still here and that you are weighing in with us, we are going to make the world a better place. Right now, we're looking for better ways to try to engage you all because you're sounding off here in our chat, but we need your voice as well, because I'm going to tell you that no matter what happens in this presidential election, this country needs this conversation. And we are looking forward to bringing that to the world. But first, we have to bring it to ourselves to make sure that we're just not good at saying it. We've got to live it, because our life, our literal life depends on it. Tommy, close us out.
Again, every morning, Saturday mornings, 9:30 Eastern, in different parts of the world, different times, same place, same channel. We want to thank you, community, for always chiming in, sharing your thoughts, listening to Eric and I on these moments of joy, moments of learning, moments of reflection. We want to invite you back next week for another installment of Diversity Conversations. Take care of yourself and each other.
Bye now.